Want help to grow your business? Download Bryn, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit bryn.ai or search the App Store today.
Hi, I'm Dale Beaumont and welcome to Top Gun Sales Management. In this series, we show you how to develop a high-performance sales team to exponentially grow your business. And our topic in this presentation is how to map out your sales process and how to determine your financial compensation model. That coming up in just a moment. Welcome to Top Gun Sales Management, and this presentation is about how to map out your sales process and also how to decide on your financial compensation model. So before we get started, let's set the scene. You're in business and you're busy. There is so many things to do, and one of them is, of course, selling. Now, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, we're hoping that that's something that you're good at, because if you're going to succeed in business, you need to know how to sell. But there's only so many hours a day that you can dedicate to selling before other areas of your business start to suffer. So you get the idea, well, what about if I had someone else that was selling for me? Then that would be a really good idea, and it is a good idea. The only thing is, you're probably good at selling, but you're not necessarily good at sales management, which is a whole other set of skills. And this is something that I'm experiencing right now in my own business. I have a number of sales staff, but I'm learning I've got to become a better sales manager if I want to take my business to the next level. So today I'm joined by Wayne Berry, and he's been in the area of sales management now for nearly 40 years in this particular area. And we're going to try to compress some of what he's learned in 40 years in about 45 minutes. So it's going to be a tough ask, but I've got a lot of questions and we've got the expert right here. So I'm just going to introduce you to him now. Wayne Berry, thanks for joining us.
Good to be here. The challenge of sales management, quite a challenge.
Yeah, let's get into it. Now, we're going to talk about in this particular interview about how to map out your sales process, and also later on in the second or third part of this interview, we're going to talk about the financial compensation model. How do you structure it, bonuses, rewards, commissions, all that type of stuff. We're going to get into that in a lot of detail. But first of all, we're going to talk about the sales process. What do you mean by that when you talk about mapping out the sales process?
Well, I often teach that selling is a process. It's not the gift of the gab. It's not having the personality. It's a process. Many of our clients that we teach are very, shall we say, left-brain people. They're engineers, they're inventors, they're accountants, dare I say, solicitors, people like that. And they relate to that concept of selling as a process. It's like any process, like a mechanical process, like an engineering process. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 7. Hang on, we've just missed a step or two. It's going to fall down. So it really is a process like that. So the sales process is working out what those steps are and documenting them. And if you don't have that documented, if you're not clear on what your process is, how are you going to teach somebody that you're bringing on board that's going to cost you money, cost you an investment to bring on board? If they don't have a process to follow, my experience is they'll make it up as they go along, and that could have disastrous consequences.
So why is it important that you map out your sales process?
Well, I guess so they can follow the map. You know, if you're going from Los Angeles to San Diego, for example, you want to have a map. Now, okay, we got a GPS these days. That's just a sophisticated map. But there is, you know how you're going to get there. You go, down certain highways. You go through certain towns or bypass certain towns. And same thing in the sales process. They need to know what to do first, what to do second, third, fourth, and not skip a step. So it's important to have a map.
Now, we want to say that this process is not scripts, right? Because sometimes people think, well, I'll just take the words that I'm actually saying and some of my golden lines, and I'll just type them up on a computer and say, here's the script, just follow that. They're more than scripts, right?
Look, it's process and a script. And just talk about scripts for just a moment. Some people say, look, a script, I'm just not comfortable with a script. I had an example of this a little while back when we had a gentleman attend one of our programs on telephone selling, and we teach a script. Now, why do we teach the script? Because everyone has a script. The problem is they have a script in their head, and the script changes from time to time, and it's a script that got into their head in a very ad hoc way. So, people who say, I don't like scripts, I'm sorry, you already have a script. You already have a certain habit, way of putting things, so you're already working to a script. It's just that your script is probably not a very good one. Well, this particular gentleman, we taught him a telephone script. come up to me in the break and he said, now your guarantee here, you say that if this doesn't work, I can get my money back for the workshop. I said, absolutely, you can. So he went away, he called me the next day and he said, it's not working. So well, that's good, Brad. His name was Brad. Just walk me through the script, tell me what the script is. And he did. And I said, Brad, what seminar did you attend? Because, that's not the script I gave you. And he said, well, the script, it's just not me. I said, Brad, tell me about you again. How successful are you? And he said, well, I'm going to lose my job if I don't turn this around. And I said, well, I think what you're saying is that, being you is not working. So stop it. Stop being you. You've got to replace the old script with a new script. So scripts are very important. So it's a process, step by step, and it is indeed scripts. There are certain optimum ways of saying things. And again, in the absence of a script, in the absence of a process, people will make it up as they go along, often with disastrous consequences.
Now, when we're talking about mapping out your process, that's obviously working. If you're in business and you're busy and you've got more leads and inquiries than you can handle, obviously you've got some skills around selling that has enabled you to get to this level. But a lot of people aren't conscious of what they're actually doing. It's almost like, say for example, you mentioned driving in your car before with the GPS. If you don't have a GPS and you've been to a place that you get out of the car and you may not even realize, how did I get here? Because you don't remember putting on your seatbelt or changing lanes or using your indicator or anything. Like, you just know that you got from point A to point B. And I find a lot of people sell that way. They're not conscious of what they're doing. So how do you start to become conscious of what you do unconsciously?
Look, it's a matter of documenting. It's a matter of taking the time, sitting down and thinking, what did I say? What did I do? What were the steps? And writing them down. Interesting thing, when you put something on paper or these days on the keyboard, you have to actually think. And in doing so, in documenting, you'll often analyze what it is that you're doing and you'll make little corrections. So you'll even improve. I often tell people, if you want to improve your situation, write it down and you'll make corrections often on the screen without any advice from anyone else. So stop, think, write down, document. Now, if you have to go to the extreme of recording everything that you do, with our smartphones these days, we can put it on record, let it run all day, and we can listen back. That might be fairly boring listening to yourself all the way back. But if you need to, do it, and be conscious about what it is that you're doing. Think about what you're doing.
You've got words, you've got audio, you can record, you can do videos as well. Other ways of documenting?
Well, there are, in terms of if you're going to pass these processes on to other people, I suggest get really smart. Use video these days, like the medium that we're using here now is the smartest way to do it. Certainly, you can actually produce little audio programs that your people can listen to of your voice when they're driving, turn travel time into learning time, and listen to what the processes are. But certainly, have a manual, have it clearly documented. Page 1, page 2, step-by-step process, and we'll go into that in more depth in a moment. And then turn it into an audio, then turn it into a video, and train them in the process. And then, I'll often say this, inspect what you expect. If you do not inspect what you expect, you will lose respect, because people will just say, that was part of the training, they're really not serious about it. But once you start inspecting, you're saying, John, let's role play, let's go through this. Now hang on, you're making up the words, you've gone off the script, you've gone off the process. Immediately you send the message, I'm serious about it. This is our process, it's the optimum way that we have developed to do it here. We expect you to stick to the process. People suddenly realize, hey, serious, they really want me to go step 1, step 2, step 3, and you get compliance that way. And it's compliance for their best sake, because if they use a proven method, a proven process, they're going to get the best result.
What about if you're hiring people and they go, look, it's fine, Wayne, I already know how to sell. You don't need to teach me. I'm already fine.
What do? You say, next person. I'm sorry, you don't meet our criteria, because we have a way of doing it here that's professional, proven. If you're going to come in here and you want to wing it and you want to do it the way, your way, next. We don't want to do business with you.
Great.
It's really as simple as that. It's having high standards in your organisation. I mean, McDonald's is a really good example of this. You go to McDonald's, they say, this is how you build a burger. And you say, look, I'm kind of a free spirit. I want to go about it my way. They say, next. You're not going to be suited. So why not have the same high standards that have created, such a successful organisation as McDonald's?
Now, what you've done is you've actually mapped out what are the actual things that go into the sales process. Because if you just said to a person, document your sales process, they're going to go, well, what do I actually document? Where do I start? You break it up into stages. So do you want to run us through these?
Shall we share that?
Yeah. So tell us, what are the actual things you need to document?
These are the stages. For example, lead generation. How do you do that? What's your process for doing that? Do you have, for example, lead magnets at your website, and that's where it'll all begins. With your lead generation, are you putting social media out there on a regular basis? Do you have an email newsletter that goes out? For example, we have something called Top Gun Video Tips, goes out weekly to our clients. That's part of our lead generation process.
You might go to trade shows, you might go to networking events.
So have it all documented out, exactly what it is that you do to generate leads.
Okay.
That's
so
step
you need
one.
to have a process for lead generation.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Because if you don't, most people wait for the phone to ring. I mean, that's not a very good strategy. You know,
Yes.
you've got to generate those leads in some way. What if the phone doesn't ring? You know, it's not going to work. Which brings us to the next subject. I call it making your own luck. Prospecting. Now, there's even a sales trainer in the United States, I won't mention his name right now, I don't want to offend him, who says you don't need to do any prospecting. He's even got a program about never making cold calls. Well, you know, if you rely totally on social media, if you rely totally on your website, if you rely on all of that stuff, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't happen? I call it making your own luck, because you get on the telephone, and it is the most efficient way right now to prospect. Get on the telephone, call someone, make an appointment with them. I mean, you can do that predictably, day after day after day, you can do that, as opposed to waiting for all of your other lead generation to work. So take charge, take 100% responsibility, make it happen, and do some prospecting.
Okay, so we need a lead generation process, we need a prospecting process. What else do we need?
Next one is the first meeting. Now, again, what do you do at the first meeting when you go and see a client for the first time? Your first meeting, by the way, could be on the phone, and you need a process. Now, again, if you don't give your salespeople a process, they'll make it up as they go along.
Now, the entrepreneur is probably saying to themselves, well, I get in there and I have a chat. And they're probably right now going, well, how do I actually now become conscious of what I'm actually doing? Because there is a process, there is a script at play.
There is, and I'm going to share something that makes a profound difference here. Most people, when they go on a sales call for the first time, they're even suckered into it by the prospect who says, okay, you said 10 minutes, you got 10 minutes, tell me all of the things that you can do for me. If you now launch into a sales presentation, you are what I called a product-oriented peddler or a quote giver. Okay, this is very unprofessional. There are five generations of salespeople. Don't have time to go into it now. 5 generations, and that's the most unprofessional time. What do you do in your first meeting? You do as the name suggests there. You diagnose the current situation. So do not go into a sales presentation on your first meeting. Certainly you might include it in your first meeting, but what you want to say is, and these words are carefully chosen because we said before, scripts are important. I'm not going to try and sell you anything at all right now, Mr. Prospect. All I'd like to do is ask you a few questions, understand your current situation and your needs. If I then feel I can make a recommendation that's right for you, is it okay if I then share that with you? Now, most prospects will say, yeah, sure. What do you want to know? Why? Because they're so used to salespeople coming in, banging them around the ears with their sales presentation. Now they've got somebody who's prepared to ask questions and listen. Makes a major difference.
Yeah.
And it's the questions you ask that build rapport, build trust, and also show that you genuinely care. And here's, again, another one of these secrets. If you ask the right questions, not only will you diagnose their need, you'll disturb them with questions, what we call disturbing questions, disturb them enough about their current situation that they'll say, hey, I didn't realize the seriousness of this. What do you think I should do?
To continue enjoying this presentation, download Bryn, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit bryn.ai or search the App Store today.